Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Call of Duty Cold War's campaign, the newest addition to the Black Ops franchise, the prequel, or sort of game before Black Ops 2, and in between Black Ops 1. During the Cold War era, there's lots of controversy, when Cold War released on November 13th, just recently a few weeks ago, and with the multiplayer. But today we're going to be strictly talking about the campaign and things relating to that, and what I think about it, and just some few details if you're still considering getting the game. We're going to try and avoid as many spoilers as possible, but keep in mind that I won't be spoiling any of the actual details of the campaign or showing any gameplay in the background that isn't just fights or small little things. There's not going to be any major details revealed here that will spoil the story for you, but there may be still some mechanics that you may not want to know about that are in the game that I may mention here. So if you don't want to know about those few mechanics, if you haven't played the game yet, or if you aren't really worried about it and you already know what happens in the game, then you can keep watching. First off, we're going to start in with this. We're just going to talk about the basis of Cold War's campaign. Like I said, this isn't going to be about the multiplayer. I may make a video on that in the future. The campaign itself is just a very detailed and fun environment to play in. It almost feels as if you're there. The cutscenes, the vibes of the game, the way it looks, the detail that these developers put into it. And I did some research, and just knowing that what happened during this game's development, the whole COVID situation and the way they adapted, it is insane to see how well the team put this game together, and it's just surprising to me. Because I did watch some things, and it was very, very interesting seeing how the team came in and did the voice acting during this crisis. But it's just an amazing game, full of detail, and the length of it is very, very good. If you're into shorter campaigns, but you don't want to, you want a little bit of a longer thing, the game takes about 5 to 7 hours to complete. For me myself, I spent a lot longer of a time playing it. More around 10 to 12 hours playing the game, because I went in and looked at absolutely everything just to thoroughly inspect it and enjoy it, and it was amazing for me. So some of the things we're going to talk about is the game. Like I said, the length is very decent size. If you have a problem with length and whatnot, it's perfect if you just want to rush through the game and get through it and enjoy yourself another Black Ops game. But other than that, the detail that they put into it, the graphics are amazing. It almost feels as if you're there, the facial animations, the lip sync, everything, it feels very accurate. And just the fact that the way you can communicate with other characters, interact with other characters, they've really put a lot of detail and lore and story into the game. Another thing I want to talk about is, the game is very highly replayable if you're into that sort of thing. If you want to replay this game, technically you can. Now, it's not super replayable when I say highly replayable, but for a game like this, it's the first time where we see something where, it's got that replayability that's there. Most people don't replay games like this that often, but if you want to replay this game, you very well can. There's very unique choices that can be made throughout this game's story. That can change, the way the game ends, or certain things that may happen in the game, and may just slightly make your game a little bit different than other people's. But there's about 2 main endings in this game, a good and a bad one. But it's just nice to have that you have those choices to choose either that really good ending or that really bad ending. And the fact that you have the free control over that is just great. And then there's those slight differentiations that you can make. Depending on what missions you're playing throughout the game, that will allow you to just make those slightest bit of changes that won't actually impact your ending, but will still make your game a little bit more unique. Another thing I want to talk about is the character customization in this game. You get to create your own character. Yes, I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't spoil any of the story stuff, but this is just the basis. You get to create your own character, and it's just a nice little feature to be able to name your own character, give them your own attributes, and create your own little backstory. Although it's basically irrelevant, it just creates something that's nice, unique, and it really has a interesting impact to see how characters respond to you differently based on what you chose. Another thing I want to talk about is, once again, optional missions, side quests. There's side quests in this game. And, they're unlockable through the choices that you make and the things that you find in the game. And that's something that's nice, just a nice addition to Cold War's campaign, is the ability to either choose to do these missions or not do them, and then just continue throughout the game without doing them at all, and never doing them. It's a completely optional thing, but it's fun, extra content, if you're into that sort of thing, and it creates for a better game, in my opinion. Also, just overall, I'd like to give the story is just fun. It's a very fun, and as I'll say, convincing story. That'll be up to you to decide what I mean by that, if you played the game or not. But it is just it's just extremely fun. It really sets the environment, the tone, the atmosphere. It's all there. It's great. You can really feel it, and it's a Call of Duty game, guys. I mean, the action, it's all there. Stealth, everything. Exactly what you'd be looking for in a game like this. And it's great. But one thing I will talk about, let's get into my only negative section of the game before we continue on about my positives for the game. So I ran through this game on the base Xbox One. I do not have the next-gen consoles currently, and I'm not playing on the next-gen consoles. I played this game on the original base Xbox. Although I will be playing this game again on the new consoles, or on the new Xbox Series X, and comparing it to how it is on the original Xbox. So if you're looking for a video like that, stay tuned in the future, because I will be making that video soon when I do get my hands on the next-gen console, if I'm able to, because there is some interesting things that I have noticed and would like to see those differences. But the main thing I will say, this only applies to last-gen consoles, or at least from what I've seen. I've noticed that this doesn't happen on next-generation consoles like the PS5 and whatnot. FPS drops during cutscenes. This is my one problem with Cold War's campaign. There is some really nicely detailed cutscenes, although most of the cutscenes in the game aren't that important. There are some very important cutscenes in the game that you might want to watch that are very detailed. And for me, my experience was kind of depressing on my end because the cutscenes were extremely laggy and the frame rates dropped significantly. It was very sad because I couldn't experience the full length of the cutscene, because a lot of the times the audio in the cutscene would end before the cutscene itself actually ended, because the cutscene was still running at normal speed, but my console couldn't keep up with the speed. And instead I was left with this really drug out long cutscene that was stuttery, that I couldn't fully experience because the audio wasn't in line, and it kept teleporting the cutscene and zooming it around in different places. This happened occasionally throughout the game, and usually before the end of the cutscene it would fix itself, but sometimes it didn't. Although this is simply just an error, and it leads me to believe that the game was intentionally designed, more for the power of the next generation consoles. It is just simply a flaw, and I'm not going to harp on it too much, but it is something nonetheless that I have to mention. Other than that, that's the only issue that I've experienced in Cold War, other than in the campaign section of the game. That's the only issue I've experienced, to put it that way. But for now, let's move on to the other things. The smooth gameplay. That's another one of my notes. This game has extremely smooth gameplay. Like I said before, I know I said that there's FPS drops and cutscenes, but other than that, I haven't experienced any FPS drops, while playing the game itself. It never lagged. It never dropped frames when something exploded or I shot my gun or anything. It was flawless. It was perfect, actually. And it ran extremely well. While you may say, well, you got to consider cutscenes, like I said that before, I'm considering that something else. The game itself runs great. No matter what you do, it seems to run great, even on last-gen consoles. So it'll probably work flawlessly on the new next-gen consoles. Another thing I want to talk about is nostalgia and references for old fans in this game. Okay, this is something, if you've ever played, the original Black Ops game, or Black Ops 2, or any of the Black Ops games, or Modern Warfare even, if you played Modern Warfare 2019 edition, or any of those games, there is a lot of references to both franchises in this game. There's, depending on what I'm talking about, I'm not going to mention them here. That would be for a different video. I myself haven't played a lot of those games. I've played some of them here and there, but not all of them. There's many references to characters, and it just brings back many things, to the game that fans will enjoy and love seeing again. and that's just something that I think they did really well. The team did really well. Obviously, there's some things that people weren't particularly happy about, but others that are very little nice Easter eggs and stuff that people like. And speaking of Easter eggs, the game does a very good job of implementing several little puzzles for you to solve and Easter eggs for Activision and several things like that if you're looking for those Easter eggs. Not just the Black Ops Easter eggs themselves and references, but also some Easter eggs involving Activision themselves, which I thought was interesting and a very nice touch to the game if you're looking for that sort of thing. Okay, and one more thing I'm going to talk about is the variety of animations when you're doing, like, for example, stealth kills, or even much larger animations like the combat body shield animations and stuff like that. The animations for these kills are just really amazing. I don't even know if I've experienced them all myself. I got into a lot of stealth kill animations, and honestly, it's even when you're in combat. It's not just stealth kill animations, but when you're in combat with someone and you run up to them and, you know, try to take them down, and just the animations are so unique in this game. There's always so many different new ones, which they're so brutal execution style. I think they did a really good job with them because it's always unexpected what's going to happen when you run up to that enemy and take them down, whether it's going to be a ruthless knife kill or whether you take their pistol and shoot them in the head. It's some insane kills and really fun time if you're into those sort of things. When playing the game, it adds variety, flavor to the game. It's not the same old repetitive animation every time you try to take someone down. It really adds a nice little touch. Also, last thing I'm really going to talk about here, because I want to try and keep this video as short as possible, but I just want to give my brief thoughts on the game and what I thought about the game, is the interactions with other characters. So one thing I really like about this game is the fact that you can talk to other characters. In between missions, you have the ability to speak to other characters, you know, ask them questions about specific things you may have learned or specific things you may have overheard when at your safe house in the game between missions. Obviously, there's a limited time that you'll be able to talk to these people, but every time you come back from a mission, there will be different conversations that you can have with each character, and they may even include little some references to previous Black Ops games or anything like that. And just other references to other characters in the game may reveal some information about one character that you didn't know. And it's very unique to see that some of this dialogue changes sometimes between players. I've actually found that one set of dialogue in particular, I watched someone play the game and then I played it myself, and the dialogue was completely different because I think it may have been a lie by the character, and it was different, which was very interesting. But other than that, you know, it's just something nice that adds to the game itself. And I really enjoy that in the game. I think it's just something nice, more detail when it comes to that. I think they did a great job with that. But that's going to be all for now. I'm going to be making a few more videos on this game. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the multiplayer. Not particularly my thoughts, but I think I'm going to do a few things, a list of things that the multiplayer did right, and I may even come back. There's a lot to talk about with the campaign here. I really broke it down as into little as I could. I just did some brief points in my notes here with what I thought was the best things about the campaign and the worst. Well, not really, but my overall thoughts. I sort of took them and merged them together. But in the future, I know there's lots of controversy revolving the multiplayer and such, so I was thinking that I might come in and give my thoughts on the multiplayer and even zombies, what I think was done the best and the worst. And I may even make a top 10 or top 5 video on that, let you guys know what's going on with that. But stay tuned in the future, and I will also be making some more interesting videos when I do get my hands finally on the next-gen consoles, if I can, or the next-gen Xbox Series X, if I can, because I do play on Xbox. But until then, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.